Jason, but
Oh, there. We're
I'll
recording.
just say continue.
Okay.
Right now it's got 104 participants, 108, 118, 120 participants so far, 137,
Seriously?
150, 170, 200.
You're not seeing my picture, are you?
Yeah, on the right. $215.
Wow.
Chuck, turn up your volume a little bit.
You can't hear me?
Somebody just on the Q&A just asked to be a little louder.
Okay, how's that? You hear that, Gary?
Loud, yep.
Okay.
That sounds perfect now, Chuck.
Okay, good. How many now?
We're at 260.
That's quite a few, isn't it?
Good number. Appreciate it. I think if you want to go ahead and get started, Chuck, then we can. And I'll mute myself, but I'll let you, I'll be right here then. So I'll take a look at the Q&A a little bit and let you get started.
Okay. Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Jason, for setting this all up. And before we get too far into it, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I know that the Packers and the Vikings are probably not done yet, and I'm sure there's probably an eye or two that's still catching that. So we'll do some of the boring stuff in the beginning, and then the good stuff will get going here in a little bit. So thanks again for joining us, and here we go. So a little bit about tonight's agenda. We're just going to revisit some of the past, present, and future rule changes. We're going to do get some feedback that we have received from our observers and some coaches, just to make sure everybody's on the same page. We're going to review the points of emphasis, traveling, block charge, screening, mechanics, videos, and breakdowns. And we've got lots of videos and plays, so you'll have plenty of opportunity. The crew perspective and thoughts was something we did at the in-person clinics. And so I've tweaked it a little bit tonight, so it'll be a little bit different. It's a little hard to do that on a Zoom call, and so we're just going to do something a little bit different. We're going to have some more plays that I think you'll enjoy. The newer officials breakout session was something we did at the in-face clinics, and for all of you newer officials that are got 3 years or less, certainly if you would send me an email when this is over, if there's something we can do to help you get started answering any questions you may have, we'll certainly try to put somebody in touch with you that can help you. And then we got plays and plays and more plays, and some we'll agree with, we'll all agree, and some will probably agree to disagree, but we've got plays, and probably the thing to get out of this is how to watch video. And then just some things to think about and try to achieve is what we're hoping to get out of tonight. So just want to kind of update you, change things just a smidgen. We now have a West Region coordinator and an East Region coordinator, and they're in charge of making sure that the observations get done, and that we're coordinating the people that want to be observed with some games and some observers to be at those games. And so the West Region's coordinator is Pete Peterson, and Jenny Malsum, the Northwest Iowa supervisor, and Central Iowa supervisor Bob Neswald will report everything to Pete. And on the east side of the state, Jeff Trost is a coordinator, and he's working directly with Randy Krejci. And we're going to get the east side covered with observations. I will tell you that as of this date, I've received somewhere in the neighborhood of about 125 people that have asked to be observed, and that's wonderful. We'll get them on a schedule and hopefully get you seen. So let's go right into the rules changes. Some you know about, some you've heard.
Hey, Chuck, sorry to interrupt you. If you can go over in terms of logging on to getting credit for this now and then a couple times. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah. If you would, just go to the iahsaa.org website, go into the officials area and type in winter, all lowercase, 2021, and that'll get you credit for the clinic tonight. And oh, sorry, I don't know what happened here. Well, anyway, right after rules change review was in 2020. Just reminder that we had the notification to the scorer's bench that when a player fouled out, we were supposed, after we had notified the bench personnel and the head coach, the scorer's table was to give us a 15-second signal, and that has been not been done real well in the past, so we want to work on that. We have a slide later that we'll be talking about that. And this year, of course, the new rule is the new signal is the hand behind the head for player control, as well as team control foul or offensive foul calls. So team offensive fouls and player control fouls will all be hand behind the head, the player control signal. That's a change. And then in 2022 and 2023, we will have the shot clock, and that'll be a 35-second shot clock. Nobody will be using that shot clock this year, but next year, that shot clock will be put in place. Question has been asked, can we use, if we put up the shot clock and it has the game clock on it, can we use the game clock? And the answer is yes, you can. So with that, go into bench decorum. Just remember that we allow the coaches to stand in the coaches box. One thing that we're asking is that coaches not kneel or squat, and just make sure that you work with the coaches on this. If they're kneeling or squatting, just work with them and remind them they need to stand or sit. And then first technical foul charge, directly or indirectly, is the loss of the coaching box, and just make sure that we're enforcing that properly. And then the head coach or any number of assistant coaches may enter the court to help with anything regarding fight. And just make sure that they're helping with the fight, not escalating it. But we want our coaches out there being able to help us fix things. So, warning to head coach: if a warning is warranted, Make sure that you do it properly, and that you give yourself a little bit of time to think and take a deep breath, and be the calmest person in the gymnasium, and assess the warning. Make sure that the warning is recorded in the scorebook by the scorer, and then make sure that the coach knows that he got a warning or she got a warning. And if a technical foul has been earned, it's important to maintain control, stay in the moment, control your emotions and the situation. And if the other two officials could make sure that head referee, that the official that called the technical gets to the right place, that's a good start. So just a little thought process, and stay calm regarding technical fouls. Technical fouls are part of the game. Nothing more, nothing less, and we should treat them as such. Some frustration discussed versus discussed and game management, just some thoughts. But if you know the rules and how they're intended to be adjudicated, it helps you maintain your calmness. It helps you adjudicate the game better because you know what you're talking about. By knowing the rules, every minute of every game, you establish respect. Make sure that you're honest. If you didn't see something, admit that you didn't see it. And then use great National Federation mechanics. Every head coach wants to be heard. So listen, acknowledge them, and then stay positive. Establish and know the limits that they're allowed. And make sure that if you have a spot that's your limit, make sure people are very comfortable and understand what that limit is. Also recognize that you're going to get some chatter, and get good at what to hear and how to control it. And then remember, sometimes silence is golden. And talk to the players, keep the communication open, and communicate with your captains. They can be a great asset in helping you control a game and manage a game. Sometimes you're going to get the cat calls. You've got to call that. The fouls are 7-2. You'll never work here again. That you've got to call that. That's just somebody venting. We can listen to that. We don't have to address it. We don't even have to acknowledge it, other than maybe it's just a nod of the head. Comment the fouls are 7-2. Maybe that gets a response. Maybe it doesn't, but it doesn't deserve anything more than a peaceful acknowledgement. And then a comment, "You'll never work here again." That's a technical foul. That one is earned, and it should be assessed. Just remember, you have the tools, and those tools are in your toolbox, and you should use those. And one of my little things when I was working was I always tried to use the 3 B's. I always tried to be brief, I tried to be bright, and I tried to be gone. And you can't do that if you don't know the rules. So study those rules, and then just have fun and enjoy yourself. This is fun, and just do the best job you can, and try to get better every day. Talk a little bit about jump balls. We're going to get into that, and this is just just a diagram that shows the opening jump ball with the referee throwing it up and going to trail, and just your positions on a jump ball. Now, jump ball, we've had lots of issues with little bitty things. So some of you are going to be rolling your eyes that we're even talking about a jump ball, but we see these things all the time. So we just want to remind everybody of what jumpers can do and what non-jumpers can do. But just remember that the jumpers have to have both feet within the half of the center circle, within the half of their center circle. The tossed ball shall be touched by one or both jumpers, and if it's not touched by one, then you're going to redo it. When the official is ready and until the ball is tossed, non-jumpers shall not move on to the circle. So referee steps in, blows his whistle, and then until the ball is tossed, the non-jumpers shall not move on to the circle, change position around the circle, and teammates may not occupy adjacent positions when an opponent desires. So you can always help with that. Ball should be tossed higher than the jumpers can jump and straight up. I recommend practicing it. I know we only do it once a game, but it's still worth practicing. Until the ball is touched by one or both jumpers, the non-jumpers shall not break the plane of the circle cylinder or take a position in any occupied space. And neither jumper shall touch the ball on the way up, leave the circle until the ball has been touched, or catch the ball before the jump ball ends. And remember, the jump ball ends when the ball touches a non-jumper, the official, the floor, the basket, or the backboard. And then a jumper cannot touch the ball more than twice. And something we did pretty good last year, and I anticipate we're going to do really good again, is our jump ball signals are excellent. Substitutions. Pete spoke at all the clinics on substitutions, and so I'm going to cover that tonight. But this has been a real issue with how we're handling some of our substitutes. So substitute entering the game shall report to the score given there's a number, and then between quarters and halftime, and then prior to the warning 15-second signal, they got to get their subs in. And then between halves, a substitute or the coach can notify. When a player is required to be removed, all substitutes may be made at that time. So if you got 4 people over there and one player is being removed, everybody can come into the game. Substitute should remain outside the boundary until beckoned by the official. We need to do a little bit better job of keeping our subs on the sideline until we're ready for them to come in. And then a substitute can't replace a designated jumper or a designated free throw shooter. A player replaced or directed to leave the game may not re-enter until after the clock has started. We see where a player will go out of the game, and we may have a free throw shot, or we may have something else that happens, and we'll see that substitute come back and come back into the game. Just remember, we have to have the clock started before that substitute can come in. Player not wearing proper uniform shall be replaced. Coach or bench personnel when they assist an injury. Remember, if your free throw shooter is got a bloody nose and you can't get it stopped and you're going to have a substitute, that substitute is going to shoot those free throws. You can't go out there and patch up a blood spot or fix an ankle and then put them right back into the game. And any player with a sign of a concussion shall be removed from the game, may not re-enter until cleared by the appropriate healthcare people. Disqualified player. Official scorer shall notify the ruling official of the 5th foul or 2nd technical. Once you've been notified by the scorer that player has their 5th foul, now you're going to notify the head coach of the player's disqualification. And then if the substitute for that disqualified player is not at the scorer's table, then you're going to notify the scorer to start the 15-second clock, and they should give you a horn. And then the player should get notified, and then the substitute should happen. If the player is not in at the end of the 15-second, you'll get a horn, and you'll handle appropriately. Timeout administration. Probably the only thing that we see as a huge problem is during timeouts, we see a lot of huddling up of the officials, which is fine if there's something you got to say, but try to keep it brief and not have a long huddle. And our positions on the 30-second timeouts and the 60-second timeouts are listed here, where you should stand. The official administering the throw-in should put the ball on his side, or his or her side, or front or back, depending on which direction that throw-in is going to go. So rough play and your absolutes. Just remember, players not supposed to hold, push, charge, trip, impede, use their shoulders or knees or hips to dislodge an opponent. Think about their freedom of movement, their ability to move without being redirected. And then the following acts constitute a foul when committed against a ball handler, dribbler, or post player: placing two hands on a player, placing extended arm bar on a player, placing and keeping a hand on the player, and contacting the player more than once with the same hand or alternating hands. In other words, hand check. Two hands on a player is pretty easy. Doesn't require a warning, doesn't need a warning, just it's a foul. And then how is the rhythm, speed, quickness, and balance affected as you're officiating the game? Mechanics and signals. Communication is vital to the game of basketball. It's essential for officials to master and to use the approved mechanics and signals. You need to study them. You need to be mindful of your responsibility from start to finish to communicate. And your mechanics and your signals are your best source of communication. When the whistle blows, just slow things down and give good, clear signals to your benches, to your partners, to coaches and players. And then remember that you should verbally inform the offender, and then with two hands indicate to the scorer the number of the offender and the number of the free throws. And the right hand will give the 10 digits and the left will give the ones. If you want to be observed during the season, this is what you should do. Send me an email to either one of those addresses, and that you'd like to be observed, and do that by November 20th. And we will attach an electronic copy of your schedule, spreadsheet or scanned copy, and I will get that to the West or East supervisor, and they will get it out to an observer. So we will get that done. Okay, so this is not really break time, but I'm going to put this video on. I'd like for you to watch. It's about 9 minutes or so. And I hope you, as you watch this video, I hope that you will think a little bit about what this what officiating has meant to this lady. This is a video about Sarah Thomas. Sarah was worked the Super Bowl last year. And if I can get this going.
We all love officiating, or we probably wouldn't be here right now. We also love officiating stories and insights. As part of NASO's Say Yes to Officiating campaign and website, we've collected dozens of professionally produced documentaries, interviews, and behind-the-scenes shorts. If you need some inspiration or just want to kick back and enjoy all things officiating, go to the Say Yes to Officiating website. Here are a handful of examples we'd like to share. Enjoy.
Sarah Thomas set to make history. She'll be the first female official to work an NFL playoff game.
Sarah Thomas becomes the first woman to officiate a Super Bowl.
Sir, energy, take one.
I am from Pascagoula, Mississippi. Very blue-collar, hardworking kind of people. My mother and father, tremendous Christian individuals that raised all three of us. I like to think that I have my mom's heart, but my dad's tenacity and just grit.
Yes, sir, energy, take one. Martha.
She got around 7 or 8 years old. She was always with her brothers, and most of the neighborhood was boys, and she would get in and get with the best of them. Our Aunt Jill asked her about going out for basketball.
I said, they don't have a girls' team. She said, go out for the boys' team. That's when the first and only girl started happening for me.
They want to find Sarah Bailey. There she is, knocking down the 15-foot baseline jam. Sarah Bailey, she had 3 points. She was on fire last night.
After my collegiate years playing ball, I was playing in a men's church league in Pascagoula. I had been in this league for 3 years. A guy comes up to me and he said, Sarah, I'm sorry about what happened last night. And he said, they voted you out of the basketball league. And I was like, why? And he said, because you're a girl. And when the preacher asked the guy why he didn't want me in the league, he said, because when she posts us up or we post her up, it just feels funny. And I was furious, crying mad. Because I'm a girl, I can't play. There's no league for me to play in. I've played sports my whole life. What am I going to do? I was on the phone with my older brother, Lee. And he said, I'm going to a football officials meeting. And I was like, well, can girls do that? I was so intrigued. I was like, this is a way I could be involved in organized sports. My mom, she was quite nervous when I started this whole journey in the football officiating world.
Tell me if you can take one. Substitution.
I like the idea. I thought she ought to be at home, and those children that she brought into this world, they needed their mom. Putting on the uniform for the first time and walking onto a field, it was like you get this bug, like it just bites you, right? When she would call me and have a concern, I would put it on a prayer card. I keep those cards and I pray for her every day. It was my 10th season, and my crew chief asked me to be on his junior college crew. But then he told me, he said, hey, don't send in your application. The assigned secretary said he would never hire a woman. And I just told him, I'm not about to try to prove myself as a woman. I'm not going to do that. This job is tough enough. I'm going to give it up after this year. What I thought was my last game was a state championship game, and there was an NFL scout there.
A former NFL official, Joe Haynes, worked in the state superintendent's office in Mississippi. And Joe gave me a call one day and he said, I got an official I think you'll be interested in. And I says, well, what's his name? He says, his name is Sarah.
He hired me over the phone. And I joked with Gerald, I go, I know you're old, but senile too. You're going to make history, hire the first woman. You don't even know if I can work. And he said Joe Haynes had never referred an official to him that couldn't work.
I listed her on the roster as S.B. Thomas because I hadn't talked to the commissioner yet.
When he told him, he said, well, what are you going to do with her? And he said, I've already talked to 2 colleges and she's going to be on the field. She's going to officiate.
I don't think women saw it as an avenue for them until Sarah was selected.
When she was accepted into Division I Conference USA, I realized that she was really good at what she was doing. It was April the 8th, 2015 at 10:57 a.m. Central Standard Time, and I picked up the phone, and it was Dean Blandino. He said, I want to welcome you as one of 9 new game officials to the NFL. I'm ready. Let's go.
First today, a full-time official, Sarah Thomas.
It's a different field out there on an NFL football field.
Fires to the right to the
Collision along the sideline.
That hit really scared me. But she's a tough woman, and she came back into that ball game.
Sarah Thomas set to make history once again. Now she'll be the first female official to work an NFL playoff game.
She's well respected in the industry, and I tell you, it's got to be a big day for her.
She held her own, and I was very proud of her.
She's not there because she's a woman. It's not because of all that. It's because she's able to do the job.
The NFL announced its Super Bowl officials today, and Sarah Thomas becomes the first woman to officiate a Super Bowl.
Dear Mama, I hope you had a good trip there. I love you so much, and I'm so proud of you. She called me and she said, I'm going to the Super Bowl. I said, are you pulling my leg? And I said, no, ma'am. And she started crying and I started crying and cheering. And it's just that moment.
I was extremely proud of my daughter.
My mom pinned an angel on me when I was a freshman in college, and she told me that she wouldn't be there with me all the time in person, but she would be there with me in spirit.
It is finally here, Super Bowl 55.
If you make it to the Super Bowl, that means you're the best person in your spot. Number 1.
It's the Super Bowl, baby.
I was like, that just can't be my mom. All of her kids were seeing her, and I thought, wow, Mom.
You just see the fruits of your labor. I can't believe I'm emotional. But the sacrifices that I've had to give up, that they had to make, and missing many things, and them just being proud. Any mother wants their children to see them succeed. And Bailey is seeing that.
I follow her footsteps in so many ways, and once I have kids, I want them to follow mine.
The future that I see for women is that they won't have to ask, can girls do that?
Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and maybe it can open our perspective of how important what we do is maybe to our families as well. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Gary for a minute and try to bring our program back up.
I had a number of people asking about login. Here's the information that you need to be able to do this. Go w.iahofficials. And there's a thing November 7th, and it says Wrestling Officials Clinic or video. Do not go to that. Go to Officials Clinic. If you click on that, then there'll be a login for a password. Type in winter 2021 and submit. And then it'll take you to the form to complete. Again, go to the Boys Association website, click on officials, and then go down to where it says officials clinics, not the November 7 wrestling video. And once you click on the officials clinic, then you'll enter the password winner 2021, hit submit, and then it'll have the form for you to enter and submit there for that. This will be open till 10 o'clock p.m. tonight for you to do that. So if you don't get it in right now, you have a little bit of time after the clinic to get that, but it'll be open until 10 o'clock tonight. I touched base with Louis Curtis from the Boys Association, and they hadn't had it open. So we apologize, but it now is open for you to enter and submit. So Chuck, go ahead. Hopefully that is helpful, and appreciate you doing this again.
Yep. Just to kind of go back, one of the questions was, and I always get excited when somebody asks me what the 3 B's stand for, because that's kind of my little thing. But it stands for be brief, be bright, and be gone. And what I'm trying to say there is that if you got something to say it quickly, know what you're talking about, and then move on with the game. So be brief, be bright, and be gone. With that, I'm going to shift into points of emphasis for the 21-22 season, and we'll get into some clips here. So let's just talk about the mechanics and signals. That is that's one of our points, one of the National Federation's points of emphasis. And just remember that proper mechanics and signals are your best source of communication. You paint a picture of what you're about. You tell everybody by the crispness of your signals, by the way you handle yourself, a little bit about you. So the better your mechanics, the better your communication, the better the picture that you paint. And you gain and establish credibility with everyone, the better mechanics and the better signals that you use. And then, of course, you exude professionalism. And then, I always tell the newer officials, and I refereed football up until 2 years ago, and I still practiced my signals in front of a mirror. And I know it's not much fun to watch yourself, but it does help you, so you know kind of what it looks like. And so I would recommend using your mirror, practice your signals, and get them the way you'd like them to be. So another point of emphasis is traveling. What's legal versus illegal? We hear these catchphrases about Euro steps and spin moves and jump stops. And quite honestly, we probably make too big of a deal out of a lot of things. Most of our spin moves, I think, are probably illegal when coming off of a dribble. And Euro steps, quite honestly, as long as the pivot foot doesn't come back down before the ball is shot or passed, we don't have a travel. So, and then we'll show a little bit about jump stops. So with that, I'm going to now these videos are going to be in real time. And then it's going to go again in halftime. And I will probably run through them one more time so that you can get a good look at them. So here we go.
At the helm of the Ames Little Cyclones. Now charging in a lane as Diggs. He loses control and travels.
We've got
At
it.
the helm of the Ames Little Cyclones. As Diggs, he loses control.
So just have a spin move that he lost control and drug his feet, and appropriately a travel call. And I'll run through it one more time.
At the helm of the Ames Little Cyclones. Now charging in a lane as Diggs. He loses control and travels. At the helm of the Ames Little Cyclones. Now charging in a lane as Diggs. He loses control.
I did also want to point out that the Iowa High School Sports Network was so gracious in allowing us to utilize these videos for some of our plays, and I just want to thank them. And
At the helm of the
now here's another one. This one, the player in white there at the free throw, at the free throw elbow, who's guarding the player out to the top to the right, the one without the ball. I think he's going to eventually get the ball, and that's where this travel is. And we'll watch it all the way through. Now, my observation is number one has done that probably 15 or 20 times and never been called for a travel because he looks confused. But this is a travel because right here, he has jump stopped. He jumped from one foot to the other. And now you're going to see him move one of the feet, which makes that a travel. Excellent call by the official. Well, you're going to see a jump. You're going to see a jump from here. He has possession. Now a jump stop, and now a pivot. Here's another one. I believe you want to watch the player 0.
and traveling on Whitty. And we'll go back to Western. And traveling on Whitty. And we'll go back to Western.
Well, here's another play. Again, traveling.
He's now 0 of 5 from three-point range. He's now 0 of 5 from three-point.
To be effective refereeing traveling, and to get traveling that is there, and to not call traveling that's not there, is you have to officiate feet up. You have to. It's one of the reasons why you have to establish primary coverages, and secondary coverages in your pre-games. So here's another. Okay, he's caught the ball. His right foot is on the floor, and he's going to jump stop. We're okay here. We're okay with the jump stop. But now he can't do anything with either foot. He's done his jump stop. He's either got to shoot or pass. Excellent call by the official. Here's another play.
An early one is not what the Warriors needed to see. And Nelson misses with. An early one is not what the Warriors needed to see. Nelson misses with.
So watch number 12. You make the call.
An early one is not what the Warriors needed to see. And Nelson misses with. An early one is not what the Warriors needed to see. And Nelson misses with. An early.
A block charge. Initial legal guarding position is both feet touching the floor, facing the opponent. That's what you need to be in legal guarding position. And once you've established that legal guarding position, you don't have a requirement to keep facing your opponent. You may move laterally to maintain your position as long as you don't go forward and into the player. You may raise your hands, jump vertically, turn, or duck to absorb the contact. So if somebody comes barreling down the lane and you want to try to protect yourself, you have that right, as long as you have legal guarding position established. So we've got a few plays. I guess I probably should say at this point in time, we're not trying to embarrass any official here. This is strictly for all of you to just have a look at some plays, get a feel for what parameters you may use. And most of these calls are pretty doggone good.
Here's Phillips to Lipsy. Taylor working against Josh Dix. Go around the screen, back to Phillips. Thought about a three. Now he's going to charge down to the paint and pop it off the square. Against Josh Dix. Go around the screen, back to Phillips. Thought about a three. Now he's going to charge down to the paint and pop it off the square.
Okay. Gary just told me that that everything is kind of blotchy and not very clear, and really apologize for that. Don't know if it's the internet or what it is, but we'll do the best we can, and we'll just kind of plug on through here. This play here, I would like to see.
Here's Phillips to Lipsy. Taylor working against Josh Dix. Go around the screen, back to Phillips. Thought about a three. Now he's going to charge down.
One thing I would suggest is that official that's on the lead, if he could move down towards that A on Iowa, more towards the lane line and the baseline. In other words, to his right about 2.5 feet. I think he might have a better angle looking down on that play. There is a huge amount of documentation that tells us that the closer the official is to the free throw lane line on a play, their chance of getting the play right is greater the closer to that lane area that they are. So just think about that.
Paint and pop it off the
You'll
square.
see it here in slow motion.
Against Josh Dix. Go around the screen, back to Phillips. Thought about a three. Now he's going to charge down with the paint and pop it off the square. Here's Phillips to
Here's one on the girls' side. Again, this is going to be a charge foul right in here in the middle of the lane. So that's where you want to focus on the defense. Good signal. Good call. One more time. There you can see that girl had legal guarding position. She turned to accept the blow, and the official correctly called the charging foul, player control foul, and had the proper signal. And there it is again. Here's another play.
Almost unstoppable.
This time, notice the lead official and where he is.
points for Josh and a whistle and a foul.
Excellent mechanic.
11 points for Josh and a whistle and a foul.
Almost unstoppable.
11 points for Josh and a whistle and a foul. Thought about the three. Barrels his way in and an offensive foul.
Again, on that play, player had established legal guarding position, continued to maintain it as they moved, and the offensive player dipped into the defensive player, and we'll show it again.
Thought about the three. Barrels his way in and an offensive foul.
There's another play. This is, you'll see communication between two officials. I'll show it once and then show it again.
Now Muller clears it out to Lehman into the corner. Line to the paint. Now Muller clears it out to Lehman into the corner.
Player control signal told us immediately what that official had once the two officials had communicated. So those signals can be valuable.
Now Muller clears it out to Lehman into the corner. Brady Scott drives the baseline to the paint, puts it up, and a foul.
Here's another. Excellent, excellent, excellent call. Textbook player control foul. Well signaled, well handled. Here we go. I'll let you decide whether you think that there should be something there. Me personally, I'm okay with that as long as it's that way all night long. So, talk a little bit about screening. Just remember that a screen is legal action by a player who, while touching the playing court, without causing contact, delays, or prevents an opponent from reaching a desired position. And to establish legal screening position, you may face in any direction. Time and distance do matter. You got to allow people an opportunity to change their course. Must be stationary, except when both screener and opponent are moving in the same direction. And you must stay within the vertical plane with your stance approximately shoulder width. This play here is not a classic screener play, but it is a play that you would want to be aware of in your game. And the screener is the player right in front of the ball. And I'll just play this 2 or 3 times.
To learn more, go to midamericanenergy.com. Your service. To learn more, go to midamericanenergy.com.
There was no illegal screen there, but it was definitely a potential. And in your pre-games, you want to talk about those plays because those plays happen a lot, and you want to make sure that somebody is paying attention to who's got that call. So we've got some miscellaneous plays that we're gonna run through, and I know we're running a little bit ahead, and I'm sure that doesn't upset anybody. But we're gonna look at some rebounding plays. We won't talk a lot about them. We'll just show them, and if there's a call that I think maybe we should think about doing differently or expanding on, we'll talk about it. But we're going to talk a little bit about rebounding. I'm going to show a hand check or two, a palming and a carrying, potential backcourt violation, and we'll talk a little about verticality. So here's the first one.
Josh Dix in the lane with the fadeaway, no good. And over the back, it's going to be called on Sambothe. Josh Dix in the lane with the fadeaway, no good. And over the back, it's going to be called on Sambothe.
Excellent call. Player over the back, had it covered like a glove, and of course got the call correct. You may have noticed that I'll run it again, but you may notice that the lead official is near the lane line and the side and the end line. And again, the propensity to get calls right by being in that position.
Josh Dix in the lane with the fadeaway, no good. And over the back, it's going to be called on Sambothe. Josh Dix in the lane with the fadeaway, no good. And over the back, it's going to be called on Sambothe.
There's another one. A little different kind of play, but again, rebounding.
With the ball, Tucker DeVries has it. Sanford, a fake. Off the glass, no. Blue is going to be called for a foul with the ball. Referee says. With the ball, Tucker DeVries has it.
One thing I'd like to point out here is that you might notice the player number 20. You may notice that there is a hand on his hip. Now, the only reason I can think he might have a hand on his hip would be because he needs to kind of feel where he's going. We don't have a problem with a hand on the hip, but I believe it may hang there a little too long.
Sanford, a fake. Off the glass, no. Blue is going to be called for a foul with the ball. Referee says. Sanford, a fake. No.
Some of you might say, well, that's a little picky. He can play through that. I totally get it. I wouldn't argue with you. I just wanted to point out that that's what a hand check looks like. And if you called it, you would have the rules to back you up. All right. We'll go through this one again.
Let's see a blistering 52% from the field, drives down the paint. Too high. Crapple is there, and goaltending. I think he's going to go see. Let's see a blistering 52% from the field, drives down the paint. Too high. Crapple is there, and goaltending. I think he's going to.
This is a play where you may want to charge, you may want to block. It appears here that the offensive player created most of the contact. So having a no call here is acceptable, and a charge would be a player control foul could be acceptable. The purpose for me showing this clip was the goaltending. And the fact that our officiating crew stayed with the play and got the call correct, and I'll throw it and show it again.
Let's see a blistering 52% from the field, drives down the paint. Too high. Crapple is there, and goaltending. I think he's going to go see. Let's see a blistering 52% from the field, drives down the paint.
Here's play.
Download the Watch IHSSN app and begin your journey to relive the past. Download the Watch IHSSN app and begin your journey to.
Kind of hard for us to see what happened in front. Point being, the lead official saw something to designate a hand check or body contact and made the appropriate call.
Download the Watch IHSSN app and begin your journey to relive the past. Download the Watch IHSSN.
There's a play. So a couple of observations of mine on this play, the goaltending. And I'll play it here for a little bit, and then I'll put a stop to it. One thing that on a goaltending call is you want to make sure that that signal is coming from either your trail or your C, not from your lead. And then I might suggest that the player that chose to walk the length of a free throw lane with his arms stuck out in kind of protest, probably we should address something that they don't need to officiate, that their job is to play and do it in a respectful manner, but I do think it needs to be addressed. I know it's kind of been common in today's world that everybody has an opinion, but I do think that needs to be addressed. And it's possible that they did address it. It just wasn't apparent on the tape. So.
Van Essen out top, and he traveled.
Here we have a situation where we have a travel, and I've watched it 100 times, and it definitely is a travel. All I would ask you to look at is it possible? I'm not saying that we did, but I'm saying, is it possible that we could have had a hand check first? And if we get the first one, we may make the second one not needed. Here we go again.
Van Essen out top, and he traveled. Van Essen out top, and he traveled.
Just something to think about as you watch tape and watch yourself during the season. Think about how you adjudicate those plays.
Van Essen out top, and he traveled.
This is a carrying the ball call, and it's going to happen about the top of the circle with the gentleman with the ball.
I was fortunate there. That was a good look in transition. Couldn't knock it down.
They really had 2 or 3 good looks and passed 2 of them up. And
I was fortunate there. That was a good look in transition. Couldn't knock it down.
they really had 2 or 3 good looks and passed.
Excellent call by the official. Definitely carrying the ball, and that call should be made.
I was fortunate there. That was a good look in transition. Couldn't knock it down.
They really had 2 or 3 good looks.
Okay, this is a play that happened in a girls' state tournament game, and well, I'll play this one 2 or 3 times, and then we'll talk about it. So on this play, this girl number 3 does not gain full control and does not fully start her dribble until her foot is on the backcourt line. So that play is not over and back. I'll run it again, and you'll see that that the ball is still somewhat being juggled. And she's being contested. Officials in pretty good position. A couple things I would point out. If in a play like this where you're in the middle of the sideline, this official has that sideline, his sideline, all the way the length of the court and the division line. So he can move closer to the division line, and that lead official can come over and do essentially what's called doubling the sideline, so that that official can help that administering official with that particular play. And I'll run it all the way through again. You see what I'm talking about. It's a good play to talk about how you would handle on your crew on a game.
The sub-state final, and that's a nice throw into Corey Phillips, and he'll go to the line. Actually, it's a jump ball. Wow.
Coach Downs looks confused too. I thought there was some contact, but we certainly can't tell from up here.
It's like Sam Bothy got on top of it. Nice entry feed. Oh, yeah. That's a good call.
Well, first of all, the TV people did get it correct. It was a good block. I'm going to stop it here. I want to talk about something.
The sub-state final in that.
Right here, if on this particular play, the official got the play right, but if that lead official could move to the free throw lane line, he would even have a better look at it, and that call would be more accepted because of his position. So if he would move to that A, look through the play, and make the call, that call would be even more well received, even though it was correct. Just food for thought.
It's a nice throw into Corey Phillips, and he'll go to the line. Actually, it's a jump ball. Wow.
Coach Downs looks.
And that signal is just textbook perfect, and patience allowed that official to get that play correct.
Confused too. There was some contact, but we certainly can't tell from up here.
It's like Sam Bothy got on top of it. Nice entry feed. Oh, yeah. That's a good call. The sub-state. Lipsy, a blistering 52% from the field, drives down the paint. Too high. Grapple is there, and goaltending. I think he's going to go to Lipsy. Lipsy, a blistering 52% from the field, drives down the paint. Too high. Grapple is there.
That's the same play we saw earlier when we were talking block charge. So.
The sub-state final, and that's a nice throw into Corey Phillips, and he'll go to the line.
Whoop.
Actually, it's a jump
My
ball.
apology.
Wow. The sub-state final.
My apology. So we'll kind of move on to just talk a little bit about post play, illegal contact on a post player. Actually, let me go back and talk a little bit about film. When you're watching film, try to think about how you can look at it objectively and more thought about what position you're in, and then worry about whether you think you got the call right or not. I can tell you that my judgment usually was just as lousy in real time as it was on video, but I could always find something about my positioning that could make me a little bit better. And so if you can watch film objectively and really think more about how you look where your position is, rather than whether or not you think you got the call right, it will help you in the long run. So just a little thought on watching film. Post play. Illegal contact on a post player is any contact using hands, arms, legs, or just generally demonstrating rough physical movements. I think with post play, you need to establish early in the game what you are going to allow and what you're not going to allow. And I can tell you that if you allow it to be rough early, it will be almost impossible to clean up. And if you can get the first foul, you will have a much cleaner game. Remember, it's a foul and should be ruled as such if an opponent is displaced from their established position. An arm bar is fine, but if it's extended and it displaces an opponent, that's foul. If you lock or extend your elbow and displace an opponent, that's foul. A leg or knee that's used in the rear of an opponent to hold or displace, that's a foul and should be called immediately. Holding, hooking, slapping, pinning, or pushing the leg or the body of an opponent. An offensive player who backs down and displaces a defender, once that defender has a legal guarding position, they're allowed to keep it. And so don't allow those offensive players more leeway than you would allow a defensive player. They are entitled to their space. Closely guarded situation occurs when a player is in control of the ball in his or her team's front court and is continuously guarded by an opponent who is within 6 feet. Now, with all of this COVID that we've had, if you don't know what 6 feet is by now, I'm sorry. I don't know that we can help you. We need to get our counts on. They need to be visible, and we need to initiate them so that we keep the game moving. 5 seconds is 5 seconds. And when an offensive player in control of the ball gets his or her head and shoulders past the defensive player, that count should be terminated. And so think about those situations. I'd like for you to watch the official who is facing the court in front of the team bench, and I'd like for you to just watch his counts and why it is so important to have good visual accounts, because when coaches and players and spectators go and look at tape, that's what they're going to look at. So with that, I'll run this a couple times.
Shoot. Over the right wing, Lehman. He's working against Josh Warner.
I'll run it again. You can see why it's so important. It's perfectly administered. Perfectly.
Shoot. Into the right wing, Lehman. He's working against Josh Warner.
Lehman to do. And he held him.
Shoot. Into the right wing, Lehman. He's working against Josh Warner.
Lehman to do. And he held him.
Shoot.
Now, if contact that creates advantages, the big advantages are contact on a shooter, dribbler, or cutter. And I will tell you, if you want to have a great game, you want your game to go smooth, you want to end the game with the players playing, coaches coaching, and the referees refereeing. If you will protect the shooter and you will protect the dribbler, you will. It's almost impossible to not have a great game. It's when contact on a shooter happens or contact on a dribbler gets everybody excited and creates for a rough game. So I know we ran way ahead. And I have some clips that I could show. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end it with just some thoughts, and then we'll head out. If you have any questions, fire them at my email. If you want me to, I can cut some of these clips and I can send them to you by email. It's my understanding they didn't come out very clear. If you'd like to have some of them, I can send them. I have to send them kind of one at a time because the file gets pretty big. So just FYI. So I showed you the video on Sarah Thomas, and I showed you that, and I will tell you that every single time I watch that, I get a little emotional because sometimes I don't think about what maybe the officiating that I did or somebody else did meant to the people that were the closest to you, your family or whatever. So think about mentoring a new or existing official and maybe even try to recruit one. And then think about, sometimes we look at it as, oh man, we don't get yelled at and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, I don't know how you can have much more fun than officiating and being with your team, your partners, and hanging out together. Newer officials, stay at it. Oh, it's the first year or two is not the most comfortable in the whole wide world. I get that, but reach out to a mentor in the local area. They'll help you through it because I can tell you it's worth it. Sarah Thomas stuck with it, and she was ready to quit and worked a Super Bowl. So think about it, and then bring someone along that think about who you know that doesn't look like you or is totally the opposite of you. Maybe for the men it's a woman. I don't know, whatever it might be, but think about how it might be received, or how you might interact with somebody and bring them into the field of officiating. I know this statement is I can already feel the laughter, and it's okay. You can laugh. This is my 45th year, and I can tell you that Dragonfly is going to be great. You just got to give it time. Every day it works a little bit better on the association end. If you use it and you work with it, it's pretty smooth. I've had people from other states tell me that they really like Dragonfly and they would prefer that, who have moved to this state. But it's not going to come without some issues. As we all know, we've seen them, and they're continuing on. But I do think if we hang with it, the positives are going to outweigh the negatives. And we complained so much about, why can't we have one registration? Why can't we have this? Why can't we have that? And now we're getting very close to that. And so hang with it. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be a great thing going forward. If you don't have a mechanics manual, you need to get one. And, and make sure that your crews have a good pregame every night out. It's important. And then read the rule book, be a rules expert. You are getting more from the NFHS now than ever before, because Dragonfly is associated with the National Federation, and we're getting all kinds of videos and information that are being sent directly to you. And I think it's going to be a good thing going forward. So hang in there. And work every game that you can, and see as many plays as possible. Watch as much video as you can. If you get a chance to work a scrimmage, do that. If you get a chance to go to a clinic with someone, do that. Just work every game that you can, and it will help you in the long run. And then thank the person over and over again who allows you to do this. You know, nobody goes out on a Tuesday or Friday night and does this all on their own. You got to have somebody who's supporting you. And don't forget to realize how important they are to allow us to do this. And then just have a terrific fun season. There's nothing better than this. Us old guys who are not doing it anymore, we miss it to death. And it's a lot of fun if you work at it a little bit, and if you do the preparation, the end result will be a lot of fun. So the end result, postseason, just a little bit about postseason. All the assignments are going to be made on Dragonfly for both the boys and the girls. So keep that schedule up to date, and be sure to block out the dates you cannot work when it comes time for postseason. If you want to be eligible for postseason, you need to fill out the online request form by December 8th. I extended this. I asked them to extend this by an extra week, because I know we get to Thanksgiving and we kind of forget everything we got going. So you have until December 8th to get on your Dragonfly account and just say, yeah, I want to be eligible for postseason, and put in your schedule. If you put your schedule in, it helps us for observing as well. If you want to be observed, I've extended the deadline a little bit. So just send a request to me by November 20th that, yeah, I want to be observed. And we'll get you set up to get somebody out to observe you. Everything is being done on a Google form. So the observations will be filled out and sent right away. So you should get those pretty close to immediately after the game that you were observed. So hopefully everything goes smooth with that, but so far so good. And then just a little addition to this clip is that I know for some reason people aren't doing this, but make sure when you work a game that you are printing your name in the scorebook. I get calls all the time. So-and-so worked my 4th game of the year and I don't remember who they were because they didn't sign the book. So make sure that you sign the book before your game so that people can refer to you. There's 2 contacts in the offices now. The IHSAA has Wendy Schlicht, and the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union has Sherry Tegmeyer. If you have any questions about getting on to Dragonfly or to your account, getting that set up, those two are wonderful at helping. Whitney is getting her sea legs underneath her, and she's doing a great job. And Sherry knows the ins and outs of Dragonfly extremely well. So don't hesitate to send them an email. Honestly, if you send me an email about Dragonfly, I forward it on to them. If you have like a real Dragonfly problem, I would recommend that you email Dragonfly direct. They've been really good at getting back to people and making sure that everything gets taken care of. With that, I think I'm gonna end it. I want to look at some questions and answers just to see. I don't have any questions. So if there are any and you want to throw one out, there's 305 people on the call. That's wonderful. But with that, we're all done. I think Gary went through how to get signed on. So with that, I'm gonna end it.
Thank you, Chuck. Thanks everybody for attending. And again, questions, please email Chuck or myself or Todd Tharp at the Boys Association. We'll sure get back to you as quick as we can. Again, thank you for attending. Take care. Have a great season.